All right, take it away.
Okay, I want to talk about this Verizon garden, which is at 127th Street Northeast, and give you a little history of what happened here. In 2008, the neighbors who live around the corner from me were complaining about the condition of this yard. They were concerned that the weeds and the 5 foot tall pyracantha bushes might be a source of people who bad people who want to do bad things to cars and other things in the neighborhood. So I suggested that we build a garden there, which seemed like a fairly reasonable suggestion at the time. The space, we'll show you a picture in a minute, is 115 feet long and about 20 feet wide. So it's big. And I contacted the Verizon community service rep to discuss how I could get permission to deal with this yard. And she told me that the Verizon Foundation, which is one of the largest foundations in the country, would give grants to nonprofit organizations if Verizon volunteers were involved in the project. At that point, she asked me how much money I would need. Not having expected that question, I said, how about $2,000? And she didn't blink. At the time, I was the president of the Capitol Hill Garden Club, which is a 501c3 organization. So I arranged to have the club accept the money from the foundation. We had our first workday in early 2009, I think. We cut the pyracantha down from about 5 feet to about 2 and used a rented chipper to chop at the branches. We tried a rented tiller to loosen the soil behind the pyracantha. That didn't work so well, but we continued on and put black plastic over the weeds and put the chips from the pyracantha on top of that. Then we let everything sit for the summer. The people who helped with these events were Verizon volunteers, garden club members, and neighbors at that point. By fall, the chips had decomposed and the weeds had disappeared, so we had several other work days. First, we removed the plastic and we put down a large truckload of topsoil. Then we put down a large truckload of mulch. And then we planted daffodils and daylilies that I had purchased with the remaining foundation funds. And at that point, people started to give me shrubs and perennials that we planted. These work days were mostly neighbors and master gardeners. You can see this is the very early days after the first spring when the daffodils came up, but there wasn't much of anything else there, except you can see the pyracantha around the edge. As time went on, I received a lot of other donated plants, many other donated plants, and the garden is now mature. It has a 12 or 15 foot crepe myrtle tree. It has a number of other large shrubs that are between 6 and 8 foot tall, numerous perennials, and bulbs that produce flowers every year. The garden, to a large extent, takes care of itself. I don't fertilize, and the only mulch I put on is that I let the leaves deteriorate on the surface. But this year, I would like to do a complete fall cleanup and planting and transplanting. Some of the plants are overgrown. It's hard to believe when you look at this picture, but it is true. They need to be trimmed back, and the perennials need to be cut down. I would also like to transplant several plants to spots where they might grow more successfully. And I will buy some additional plants to replace those that have been lost. 2 years ago, the Verizon Foundation gave the Garden Club another $2,500 that was for garden projects on Capitol Hill. Okay, Beth, you want to go to the last? Do you have the last one? The last slide? Maybe not. Maybe not. This is it. I'm sorry. So I've scheduled a work day on Saturday, October 23rd from 9 to 1. And anybody who can come for at least an hour is welcome. There's plenty of work. I ask people to bring garden gloves and hand pruners if they have them. And I can supply those for people who don't, as well as other tools and supplies. So I'm hoping to get some volunteers on this workday. The more volunteers I get, the more work I can get done.